Literature is in everything. It is found in the newspaper, biography, short stories, and poems. It is limitless. So why not learn how to read it? So in today's speech, I'm going to inform you on literary theory, a tool to help analyze and critique any literature. Literature is something that I'm passionate about. I've always wanted to improve my reading experience, and with these tools, this is made possible. I've learned literary theory from my English class, and I've also delved into it with online literature class known as Masterclass. And I'm excited to share my knowledge with you. I will be going over 3 main points: what literary theory is and why it is important, the different theories and their perspectives that they bring with, and also how these theories can be used in everyday life. My goal by the end of the speech is for you to be able to put these theories on literature and to be able to better analyze and critique literature, and overall improve your reading experience. So to begin, I want to discuss what literary theory is. Literary theory is a style of analysis to interpret, study, and understand literature through various perspectives. Seeing things from a different perspective opens our minds to new ideas and diverse viewpoints. It helps us understand and craft our own ideas more completely. Now that we have discussed what literary theory is and why it's important, I want to introduce 3 types of theories and how they might bring new context to literature. So gender theory exposes gender, uses gender to better understand a text. New historicism theory will help understand a text through history, and psychoanalytic theory helps understand a text through psychology. Gender theory. What is gender theory? Gender theory exposes the construction of gender within a text. It examines how men and women are portrayed, how they interact and treat one another, how they perform their gender roles, and what stereotypes manifest within a text. This theory gives a means to see a system and hierarchy of gender and how it plays out in a text. Now that we have learned a perspective that has exposed the construction of gender in a text, we will move on to New Historicism theory and its purpose. What is New Historicism theory? New Historicism theory claims that by understanding what was going on around the time that a text was written, we can better understand and analyze a text. A lot can change within time, and things can be misunderstood. Cultural and societal norms change, vocabulary changes, and grammar changes. New Historicism theory analyzes any differences that there might be when this was written. Now that we've talked about New Historicism theory, I want to go over what psychoanalytic theory is. Psychoanalytic theory uses Sigmund Freud's principles of psychoanalysis, like dream interpretation, to better understand literature. It focuses on the characters and their psychology, what motivates them, their emotions, and any implications of human nature within the text. We can also use psychoanalytic theory to better understand the writer and who writes this. We can understand their motives, their drives, any bias that they might have. Edgar Allan Poe experienced trauma and anxiety, and these are reflected in his horror genre. Theories can give us a means to analyze and better understand literature. So now that we've discussed the theories, let's discuss how we can use these in everyday life. Literary theory can help us grow in our critical thinking skills, encourages sympathy for other human beings, and gives the reader an overall better experience. Being able to analyze a text grows our critical thinking skills. When looking at news sources, there's a lot of bias that can be found. And using psychoanalytic theory, we can understand the writer and their motives and any bias that they might have. Bias is common. 9 out of 10 articles have at least some bias in them. Right here, go back. Right here, 9% is zero bias. And the rest is at least some bias in it. So 9 out of 10 news articles have at least some bias in them. 3 of those have a large amount of bias. Learning how to use literary theory can help us detect any bias and can also help us learn about the writer and their intentions. Along with improving in our critical thinking skills, literary theory can encourage sympathy for other human beings. It makes the reader stop and think of how systems can be harmful. For example, feminist writing shows the oppression of women and highlights problematic systems between gender. It is still influential in the pursuit for equality. Gender theory helps to slow down and perceive gender relations and encourages the reader to sympathize with others. Along with encouraging sympathy for others, literary theory gives us understanding. We can learn our own interests, such as horror, romance, adventure, and so on. A close analysis on a text can make us feel a certain way that we didn't know was there. Literary theory is useful in what it exposes in a text and a character. It can also reveal any bias in us as readers. It can shed light on a system or hierarchy and whether it is problematic. And only by revealing those things can we understand and therefore have the capacity to grow. So by seeing how a system or hierarchy plays out in a text, we can start to understand how the same things play out in everyday life. To conclude, literary theory opens our minds to new ideas and diverse viewpoints. It helps us understand and craft our own ideas more completely. This is important in an ever-growing world. Everyone has a story to tell, and the ability to analyze and see their story through multiple perspectives can help bridge the gap between people. It can also give us an appreciation for diversity.